How's it going today, everybody? The project I got going on is this Ariens push mower. The customer said it won't start. It's been in storage for quite some time, and all they want me to do is get it running. So I'm not going to go through and do a whole tune-up on this guy. I'm just going to try and see if I can get it running for them. And I'm just going to go through my normal standard stuff, guys. Put you down here. So what I'm going to try first is just to do a function test, see what's going on. I'm going to check the oil level, make sure it's got some oil. Very little oil. Check for fuel. If it's got fuel in it, oh boy. Well, I don't know if you put new fuel in it this year or if it's old fuel, but we'll see what's going on there. This thing's got an auto choke system, so before I fire it up, what I'm going to do is take off the air filter cover, take out the air filter, and make sure that the choke valve, or the choke butterfly valve, is actually, make sure it's closed, and it is. So that's a good sign. It doesn't have a fuel shut off. So I'm just going to kind of give it a couple of pulls and see what we can get out of this thing, if anything. Alright guys, so that was nothing, obviously. What I'm going to do next is to spray some quick start right into the carburetor and see if we can get it to light off. Alright guys, so to do this, there's not a lot of light, but right in here there is a choke butterfly, which I'm going to have to open up with this screwdriver and then spray some quick start in there. And we're going to give it another try. Alright guys, so it did fire off. That means it has okay compression. It's got some spark. So it's most likely a dirty carburetor, which I see this all the time. People store their stuff with fuel, and the fuel has ethanol, and that clogs up all of the little passageways in the carburetor. So anyways, I'm going to do a carb clean on this, and I'll take you along, see if we can get this thing at least running. Alright guys, to get the carburetor off here, there's two 10 millimeter nuts and a 10 mil bolt. And this air filter housing comes off, and there's a vent line there, just pops off, and this carburetor is going to slide off. Now there is a multitude of gaskets on here, which we're going to try and save. There's also a choke system here as well, which you have to take off, and the easiest way I found to take this off is a couple of, I think they're T20 or T25 screws. Let me show you here. There is one right here and one in the back right there. And that will allow this whole sort of assembly to come off, and then you can take the linkage off here, because otherwise you won't get the carburetor off. So that's what I'm going to do next. So this one on the front is easy enough to get off. It's that one on the back. I might have to take this whole top cover off. Alright, so next I'm going to do is take off this fuel line. Clamp it first. This some fuel will drain out of here, so I'll try and catch it if I can. The fuel line is stuck on, so I've made myself a fuel line removal tool. I do have a video for that if you want to learn how to make your own. You can go ahead and click up on the link on the top right there. I'll post a link to that video. Alright, so I got the fuel line off here. Sorry for all the background noise, it's springtime, so. Alright, so I took this top linkage off right here. Now all you have to do is pull this guy out as far as you can and rotate that, and then this guy comes right out. The next thing is this little spring. Once again, sorry for all the background noises. Alright, now we still have this issue with the choke. I'm going to see if I can rotate this up and twist this to be able to turn this off, pull this off. I'm going to keep working at it. So pretty much that's how I had to do it. I had to rotate this choke mechanism all the way over to be able to pull the Z bend of this arm right here out. Okay, so now the whole thing should be able to just slide right off. Nothing else is connected. And there we go. So now I'm going to clean up this carburetor. See if we can get this guy fired up and running again. Alright guys, so to clean this out, 10 mil is going to take off your bowl nut on the bottom here. This will give us an indication how dirty it is. I did, some of the fuel already did come out. Doesn't look like there's much left. And there was some gelled up fuel in there. Alright guys, so I got this bowl off. There's a little bit of stuff in the bottom of this bowl. A little bit of jello. Dried up ethanol, but the real problem is right up here in the emulsion tube. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that, but that is caked in there with old gelled up fuel. So that's what happens when you leave fuel sitting in your carburetor, guys, for long periods of time. Well, I'm just going to try and look at that. This is gel. Old fuel, ethanol in the fuel. And guess what? That's where the fuel goes to enter the carburetor. So I'm going to blow this out. Alright, so now I'm going to take the emulsion, or the main jet and the emulsion tube out, and you need a screwdriver that doesn't have a beveled edge, so a nice flat edge, and it's a brass It's a brass jet and emulsion tube, so it's very soft metal, so you have to be very careful. Put a lot of downward pressure as you're turning on this top of this flathead main jet, otherwise you're going to strip it and then you're going to have to buy a new carburetor. Now sometimes these things are a bit of a pain in the butt to get out. So it looks like the emulsion tube doesn't want to come out. So what I'm going to do is try and take a little Allen wrench here and stick it down in the throat. Oh, there it comes. So I can pretty much guarantee you this jet is actually not clogged as I suspect. There's just, I don't know if you can see. So, but you can see some light going through this. I'm still going to ream it out a little bit. Not ream it out, I'm just going to clean it out. Got these torch tip cleaners. And you get these probably for a couple bucks at your hardware store. I think I paid $7.99 at Canadian Tire here in Canada. And you're just trying to find the one that actually will fit through. Not too. They're a little bit cumbersome to use. So there's the one that fits. And just run that through a couple times, make sure it's nice and clean. Spray that with some carb cleaner here in a bit. Same thing with the emulsion tube. Usually you don't see a whole lot of problems in the emulsion tube, but there's got little holes. Just want to make sure all those little holes are nice and clean. And then we're going to put this guy back together, see if it solves our problem. I know that this emulsion tube, I'm going to spray this out as well with some carb cleaner. That's definitely the problem. It was definitely not getting any fuel at all through there. Alright guys, just going to reassemble this now. Just the reverse of what we did to take it apart. And when you're tightening these main jets back down, again, don't tighten them super tight. Okay, because the next time you or someone else goes to take them out, you won't be able to get them out. Alright. Now, try and find the front. For the float bowl, I like to usually put the, this is a drain plug, off to the front, pointed towards the front of the machine so you can get access to it when it's back on the machine. Okay, just kind of clean this up a little bit. And I'm not doing like a full-on carb job on this, guys. I did spray everything inside there. I will spray these little passageways as well. Just make sure it's all clean. The reason why I'm not doing a full meal deal on this one is they just want me to get it running. So they're looking to spend the least amount of money to get this thing running. So I guess that's what we're going to do. Okay, so now she's ready to go back on the machine. Alright guys, I got you back over here. What I've done off camera is I've cleaned out the fuel tank. There was some issues that I noticed with the fuel cap is not venting properly. So when I was swishing fuel around and trying to get the fuel to come out, I noticed that with the fuel cap on, it actually was coming out really slowly and then stopped altogether. So I looked at the fuel cap And on the inside here, the lighting kind of sucks, I know. You can see that this little plastic piece here is all cracked. And this is an older one. It's not cracked. I'm not sure if this should fix our problem. But so that is definitely a problem. We're going to try this new cap on here, and if that doesn't work, I'll have to tell the customer they're going to need a new cap. But so before I actually get too far into this, I'm actually going to test this other cap to see if it will vent properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this fuel line off again, and I'm going to put some fuel in here, and I'm going to put the cap on, this new cap. I'm going to try and see how much fuel comes out the other end here. Alright, so I'm going to put some fuel in here. Alright, so now we're going to watch the fuel come out. So it doesn't come out very quickly on this thing, but it should be good enough. I'm going to put the fuel cap on here and see if that makes any difference to the flow of the fuel. And as you can see, the flow of the fuel is still the same. And just to show you guys what I'm looking at here, I'm going to put this old cap back on here, and within a few seconds, actually, it probably is going to, the flow will start to reduce, and there you go. I got no flow whatsoever. Plenty of fuel in the tank. Crack the cap, fuel starts again. So there you go. That's a fuel venting problem. How you would diagnose that is either A, you could do this, or B, what you could do is if your mower is running for about 2 minutes and then stopping, it's because it's using all the fuel that's in the carburetor float bowl, and then once that's done, it will die off. As soon as you open the cap, it will start again. Alright guys, so I'm ready to put the carburetor back on here. So I'm going to start with the auto choke linkage. I'm going to hook that up first. It's always the biggest pain in the butt. Alright, there we go. Alright, so before I get too far with this thing, I'm going to have to put this throttle linkage back on as well, because you can't get it on too far before you put that on. And then the tension spring. Alright. So that's back on. Now I'm going to put the 2 torque screws back on. Next, these torque screwdrivers. Alright, so that's that. All the linkages are back on. The fuel line is rerun. And hook up the fuel line here. Get rid rid of that clamp. After we hook up this clamp. That's done. There's a couple of these little clippies I took off. I'll have to re-hook them up into here, just to kind of keep the fuel line organized and away from all the other moving parts. So this is all back together now. All right. This guy back on, re-hook up the vent line. Two 10mm nuts in the bolt, 10mm bolt. I'll cinch those down with my cordless impact. And do the final tightening with my ratchet and socket. Just snug. You don't want to bend the plastic here. Alright, well, that's it. So let's go give it a test drive. Got some fuel in there now. And we'll see if we've solved the problem here, if we get this thing running. Alright, so choke is closed, got fuel, spark plug is attached, got oil, see what we get. That was it, guys. That was just a carb clean on this guy. It could use some more maintenance. I would change the oil and this air filter and stuff, but they just want me to get it running. So I think we're gonna sign off on this one today, guys. So thanks for joining me. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Really helps me out on the channel. And until next time, take care.